And hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Kent Holste podcast right here on the home of the Kent Holste podcast on YouTube. And I just want to thank you for clicking this link and joining in the conversation, as today I'm going to be talking about pain. There's so many different styles and variances of pain that we deal with on a daily basis that we're gonna touch on these. And so, as life grows and goes on in our everyday world that we live in, we experience different types of pain. Maybe it's the pain of a health issue that you're dealing with and you're trying to find ways to cope with that pain. Perhaps it's maybe friendships as you were growing up, and even as an adult, you deal with the pain of not talking or hearing from someone that you cared about as a friend, or maybe even more than just a friend. You get into the relationship aspect of things, where you're with someone and you grow an attraction for that person, and it can lead to marriage. And then sometimes that marriage doesn't work out and there's issues that come up, or you're those lucky people that don't have that problem. But there's also pain within that people deal with. And then there's also then the pain of what comes from relationships and marriages is children. Some parents get to see and spend time with their kids, and some don't have that opportunity. It was taken from them, and that hurts. And then there's another side of that with children, where you do have contact with them, and then they start to grow and they get that idea that they don't need you, that they don't care about you, and they want to believe what they want to believe, and what you think no longer is important to them. And you deal with the pain of that. And then you also get those parents that have been split families, and the kids don't see their other parent for some time, and they just feel like things have been taken from them, or whatever feelings are built up and pent up from that, and they feel like they don't want to talk to the other parent because of either, hopefully the other parent isn't saying anything bad about the other parent, but you never know. There's so many different examples and circumstances that can be caused by these things. And the biggest thing that we deal with pain is the fact that we may have a job and we work there for a long time. We made incredible advancements into different levels of that business, and then all of a sudden you get laid off, or you get fired out of nowhere, or you may have done something wrong by mistake, or maybe it wasn't a mistake, and you deal with the pain of that. Pain is something that's there. We deal with pain in different ways. We handle pain in different ways. But sometimes we just don't know how to handle that pain. It leaves us with feelings of depression. It leaves us with feelings of anxiety. We get the feelings sometimes that we're being attacked. Sometimes that's really happening, and then sometimes it's just something that we just think. It's something that we put into our own mind because we want to have that conspiracy theory that everybody is against us, when really nobody isn't. It's just we have to face certain things. This subject is very, very difficult because in my life, I've had a lot of pain. There's a lot of things in my life that has happened that some was caused by not of my doing, and then there's things that were because of my doing. That was my fault. And the biggest key ones that I want to share with you that have really made the biggest impact in my life was, number one, the pain growing up of being adopted, not knowing who I was, where I came from. That was something that really upset me. It pained me because there were certain times in school where, you would have to write a report about what is in your blood, what's in your genetics, and I couldn't answer that. It pained me. It pained me to see other people get to brag and boast about who they are, and I had no idea who I was. And then another time that there was a lot of pain in my life is when my dad's mom passed away. I was in first grade. I didn't know what death was. I didn't understand what death was, what causes death. I knew that death happened. I knew that people leave this earth, but I didn't know what causes death, what can make death happen. And in my grandma's situation, I didn't understand her health issues because I was too young. And I blame myself for the embarrassment of what possibly was going on while I was that age, that she was embarrassed by me, and that was never the case. And I found that out later in my life. But it was something that I held against myself. I forced myself to think things that wasn't true that caused pain. And then the other thing that really pains me is the fact that I've been married multiple times and I've been unsuccessful in having a relationship in marriage that lasted the way that I was hoping it would have. I push a lot of blame on myself for that because I didn't make the right choices. I didn't do the right things to make it work, to make it successful. I was in relationships probably when I shouldn't have, but the main thing I want to make very, very clear is within those marriages, I had the most amazing kids. And they are not mistakes. They're precious people that I'm so glad that are in my life or were in my life. And there's not a moment that goes by where I don't think about my kids. The ones that I can talk to, it's perfect. The ones that I unfortunately can't, those are the ones, those moments that hurt the most, that pain me the most because I love them and I can't express that to them. But one day I hopefully would think that will change. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Maybe it's just something that's going to happen the rest of my life where it's going to be like this, where all I'm going to have is the memories of when they were kids, infants. It hurts. It pains me to think about it because I love them. And, I could have been a better husband. I could have been a better father. I could have been so much better if my head was in the right spot. And it pains me that it wasn't because I was focusing on other things that weren't important. I mean, granted, I spent time with my kids and I did things with them. We would go to the park. We would go to the beach. We would do lots of things. If there was a special event, we would go to it. If it was a carnival, we went to a lot of carnivals. It was a lot of fun. And, as a parent, you try to do as much as you can to spoil your kids because you love them. And when you don't have the opportunity to do those things anymore, that's the pain. That's the pain that I'm talking about. The pain of not being able to hear your kids say they love you. The pain of not being able to see them grow and do certain things like play sports or do school events, Christmas pageants, all that stuff. As a parent, if you truly care about your kids, those are things that you want to be involved with and they should be important. And I'm not saying that I didn't participate in those because I did. It's just the things in between that at home. While I could have been playing and doing more constant interaction, when I wasn't out and about with them or having a campfire in the backyard or whatever, in between that, I was being selfish. I was being stupid, and that's what pains me. There's been times in my life where I've had jobs and they didn't work out. I've had jobs where, I thought the grass was greener on the other side, and I thought that it was an opportunity to make more money, and sometimes it was, and sometimes it wasn't. And it pains me that I would leave those good paying jobs and wasn't able to go back to those other jobs. And some of them I were able to go back to. And it was a good thing because it led me to having a successful job with Sears Hometown Stores and building a store's reputation back up, and it was great. But it pained me when that store closed after all the work and effort it took to make it the way that it was, and it just hurt. There's a lot of pain with that. In the comment spot, I encourage you to get in the conversation and talk about your life, the things that have pained you, and what did you do to overcome those things? Because each of these things I talked about, I've had to cope with and deal with in certain ways. And the biggest thing that really has helped me grow and become stronger in dealing with some of this pain. And not to say that a lot of that pain is gone, because there's a good portion of it still there. And I don't think that a lot of pain that happens in your life really goes away. It's still there. It's just sometimes we forget about it. But it's funny, when one certain thing pops up, it re-triggers those emotions and feelings. And that's what we want to figure out, how we can make those feelings and turn them into a positive, and figure out how we can defeat that depression or prevent that depression from re-happening. Getting back to joining in the conversation, if you're going to put something in there, be civil, be polite. Obviously there's a lot of people who choose to make poor choices, and they have a specific agenda they want to accomplish by ripping on people and being rude and being inappropriate. If you're going to be like that, your comments are going to be erased, and there's a good chance that you could be blocked. And I don't want to do that. The whole purpose of this podcast is to help people, to encourage people. If you got something that's heavy on your heart about your life and the pain that you went through with a situation that happened to you and all that stuff, I would encourage you to talk about it. What did you do to cope with it? What did you deal with in that time to make things better? Did you do what I did? Did you go see a doctor? Did they recommend you to go see a therapist, which I did? Do you talk to a pastor? Do you go to support groups, church groups? There's so many different things that you could do to help you through these times of pain. But the best thing that I've found that I can do to make things better in the midst of my pain is pray. There's a lot of people who don't believe in prayer. The power of prayer. The significance of prayer is so amazing. It's something that when you pray for valid, good things that you can put up on the table for God to look at and go through on his big desk of stacked high paperworks of prayer. Maybe, I don't know how he gets the prayers or whatnot. It's not like Bruce Almighty where he gets a computer and every prayer pops up. I don't know, but it will be interesting to see when I go to heaven how he deals with it. But the thing is when you pray and you notice good positive change happen, you know that you're doing it right. When I was going through my rough time with my divorce, I had to pray a lot. Where was I going to go? What steps was I going to try to do to get past this, to move forward, to not just sit there and just force myself to be depressed when I needed to be out and about and working all the time, because that's what I did. Is I literally worked every day, 7 days a week, no days off. And I listened to podcasts. I would listen to Bible studies. I would listen to nothing but Christian music and just, focus on Christ being my rock and my foundation to help guide me to where I needed to go. And that's what I would say in my prayer was, God, please, if it is your will, lead me to where I need to go. I'm laying all my frustrations, all my depression at your feet. They're yours to handle. Just lead me where you want me to go, and I'll go there. And so far, it has taken me to Kansas to be closer to family. And it led me to a few opportunities there. And now here I am, and I've been in Texas for the past close to 3 years, and things have been amazing here. Sometimes you've got to think about and really figure out where you need to be, what steps you need to take, and where you want to go with your life. Because you never know, that one chance that you can give yourself may be the best opportunity for you to make an impact somewhere else. It's funny, there'll be days when I'm feeling depressed and I'm feeling down, and then I talk to one person, and that one person within that conversation just lifts up my day. And you would be amazed what that conversation tends to be about: positivity. My whole slogan that got this podcast going was think and be positive. Positivity. It's what we need to survive. It's what we need to motivate ourselves. It is what we need to be there for other people, is giving out positive vibes and making them feel positive about themselves. You know, I've talked about in the past on a prior podcast about the customer that I had that was dealing with a death in his family, and I took the time to pray for him. And in the midst of his pain, after our conversation, he felt good. You know, there's been other situations where I've talked to people and they're dealing with divorces. They're dealing with addictions to drugs. And all it takes is positivity. All it takes is helping someone to believe in themselves, giving that person that sense of they're going to be okay. Because sometimes that's all someone needs to hear is someone saying it's going to be okay. And there's some people out there, unfortunately, who don't do that, who will talk to you and try to bring you down and try to remind you that things have happened because of these choices that you made in your past. And granted, sometimes it's good to hear that. But if that same person continually does that same speech to you every time something bad happens and you're looking for just someone to just hear you out and to try to understand you for just a brief moment, if possible, then maybe that's not the right person to go to at certain times. But sometimes that is what you need. I have a friend that I've known for many, many, many years. And whenever I needed to talk about something, they were there. But yet they would give me the harsh critic type of advice. They didn't tell me what I needed to hear or what I wanted to hear, rather. They indeed told me what I didn't want to hear. And sometimes that is a good thing, because their intentions, if they're doing that, are not to hurt you more. It's because they're trying to remind you of what brought you to that place, to that moment. And they wouldn't say things that kind of hurt, but it's the truth if they didn't care. And I got to tell you, those are the type of people that you need to keep close by. There's so many times in our life where we surround ourselves with people that cause us nothing but pain. There's people out there that their sole mission is to make other people's lives miserable. We don't know why they do it. They just do it. And we're not going to come up with excuses for those type of actions, because that's not what this podcast is about. The only thing is sometimes that's your red flag to look for somebody else. The whole issue was when I was growing up, I was so more focused on having the most friends, being accepted by everybody, that I didn't care who or what they were like. I didn't judge them. And maybe that was a good thing. But at the end of the day, it was who I chose to spend my time with. And 9 times out of 10, it was the people that weren't really the best. And honestly, the best people that were the best for me was the people that my parents were trying to hang out with their kids. And looking back at that, a lot of those people that my parents were friends with had amazing kids. And I've had some of the most amazing friendships come from my parents' friends' kids. One of them in which I named my second child, my son, after my best friend. And even though I've kind of lost contact with that friend, my family is still friends, good friends with that family. And the memories that I have with their sons, I've always held close to my heart because we had so much fun. And I guess you could say it pains me that I'm not in contact or have the friendship that we used to have. But replaces that pain is knowing that when we were kids, we had one hell of a time. So I kind of gave you a few ideas of how to deal with pain. And I'm interested to see what other people say, how they deal with pain. What is their remedy for healing that pain? We've talked about relationships, friendships, jobs. We've talked about everything. Maybe I'm missing something. You know, we've talked about kids and how that affects the heart and everything. But what about addiction, that pain? You know, I can't really talk about, drug addiction because I've never been in that spot before. I could probably say that there was an alcohol problem in my life at one point, and the only reason why I got out of it was to prove to my wife at the time that I wanted to be a better man. I wanted to be a better husband. And so, within the addictions in your life, you just have to make good choices. And some of the best choices you can do is go get help, go to rehab. if it's that big of a situation. If you're noticing that your body is changing, there's a lot of anger and constant broken friendships, relationships, then that's the time to do something. Don't wait until it's too late. Don't let the drugs or the alcohol be the last thing that causes you to do something that could hurt more people, that could make other people have pain because of you being gone. And the biggest thing throughout all this is no matter what pain you have, no matter what you're feeling, you have to remember that you're worth it. There's no pain in this world that is strong enough to take that confidence that's deep down inside that you can break through and be bigger and stronger and believe that you are good enough. Because there's going to be people in your life at some point, or there's been at one point, someone that has tried to knock you down, trying to break your wall, trying to convince you things that are not true about yourself. Or maybe there's no people at all that are doing it. Maybe it's your mind. And if your mind is your current biggest enemy, then maybe this is the time where you seek help. I'm not a professional when it comes to mental health. I've been there, and I know each and every situation is different. It's not the same. But I'm telling you right now, if you've got thoughts of hurting yourself, stop what you're doing right now and seek help. There are people that are there to take care of you. And don't be afraid to talk about things. Talk about the pain that you have, the pain that's holding you back, the pain that's preventing you from being confident. And the biggest thing is when you do take that time to rebuild your life, things don't change right away. It takes work. It takes time. It's been 4 years since everything in my life went haywire and everything fell apart. And it's still, after 4 years, taken me time to rebuild. They always say Rome was not built in a day. And that's the truth within our lives. You can't build something all in one day to fix something that has been knocked down or needs to be built from the ground up. New life can be created only when you give it that chance. You give it that opportunity. So do that today. And our time is up. Today we talked about pain, and I really hope that this conversation has kind of sparked something within you to talk about your pain. This isn't a time to talk about somebody else's pain. This isn't a time to bash someone else that has happened within your life. It's you, what you have done, the life that has been going on. This isn't a time to point fingers and do all that. If you notice everything I said, I did it. I was the one. I'm not pointing fingers. I'm not accusing anybody. I'm owning up to what I've done. And it's time that you do too if you haven't. Because that's the only way things are going to get better for you, is when you admit that there's things in your life that needs changed, and you're going to take that step to grow, to be a better person from today going forward. So remember to think and be positive. Do what you can today, not what you can't. And I believe in you. Don't you think you should too? And if you see someone who served our country, whether it be military, police, fire, or the hard-working people within our medical facilities who are still dealing with the virus and other situations and all that, just thank them. I don't know where you're at with shaking hands or giving a fist bump or give them an elbow. Let them know you appreciate them. You never know how much they might appreciate that one random act of kindness. But most of all, right now, we want to keep in mind the people in Ukraine that are dealing with this awful situation. If you're not a praying person, the least you can do is keep these people in your thoughts. Hopefully things will get better here and that whole situation will stop, but we can only wait and see. But let's keep them in our thoughts and in prayers. If you have any prayer requests, you can always email me at kentholstepodcast@gmail.com. I'll be more than happy to do that for you. And you don't have to say names or any private things. Just give me a general idea and I'll pray for you. I generally pick a name off of my friends list on social media and I pray for them and I let them know. And I don't mind doing that. So until the next time we talk, I really thank you for all the support of encouraging me to get another podcast in. I know it's been a while, but I'll try to do my best to get more content out for you to enjoy. So have a great day, evening, whenever it is. Remember to be safe, and God bless.